team, as always, welcome back to another video. Thought today we'd knock out another of the myths. There's no such thing as a bad sale. It's utter. Yeah. It's a lie, isn't it, Zach?
Yeah.
So as we said in the other video, a decision's better than no decision, and that counts in all scenarios. So maybe you've sold something and maybe it turned out not to be a good idea. The big mistake here, though, that a lot of companies make is that they then continue to make that mistake. A decision is great. It's a decision forwards or backwards. You pivot, you move, you do whatever you need to. But do not fall into the trap of believing that all sales are good. It's a complete and utter myth. You can send yourself off down all sorts of rabbit holes chasing sales. Of course, there's scenarios where there's uber growth companies and people that are trying to grab a market. They are very rare. They are unicorns in the market. Don't kid yourself that you are one of those unicorns that's going to suddenly have high valuations and someone's going to turn up one day and pay billions of pounds for your company. Most of us don't live in that reality, so let's be practical about what we're doing. And then what you find is that you're tripping yourself up. You're trying to find a way to convert that sale into profit, or you're trying to find a way to make that sale be margin bearing. As the saying goes, turnover is vanity, profit is sanity, cash flow is reality. Keep that in your mind. So important that you don't lose sight of that.
What I realized, and it wasn't until much later, it's a lot more challenging than one would think. So I heard a great statement about what I experienced in it, and I was always in sales and sales management, so I was always wanting to take care of the top line. Everything else will take care of itself.
Right.
Well, what I learned, or what I've heard, and I've learned this since, is that revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, cash is king.
Whether your company's doing really well or not so well, make sure your priorities follow that order. Forget the turnover, make sure you get the profit, and ultimately ensure that cash is still there. Keep it coming in the doors. That keeps the lights on, that keeps people paid, and gives you the bedrock in order to build the company back up if it's struggling, or invest if it's doing really well. So never lose sight of that. Super important. And any one of you that's owned your own business or manages the cash flow in your business will realise what that means. It's really profound. It's kind of seen as a bit of a throwaway comment, but it's so true. Those of us that want to post huge revenues, it's an ego thing. Very rarely, and as I said, in those unicorn businesses where uber growth is what's being valued, at some point they're going to have to find a way to profit. There has to come that point, the road to profit. Any one of you that has managed a business or managed your cash flow, you need the profit. The profit is what's going to keep your company solvent. That's it. You need to keep money coming in, but it needs to be profit generative. You don't want to just be covering your costs, or in the worst case scenario, acquiring customers at a greater cost than that of the margin that you're making when you've acquired them. But it all boils down to cash. Cash is king. Cash is ultimately the reality of every business.
But the overwhelming message is cash is king again.
Because there are scenarios even where you can be profitable but cash poor. You can be capitalising assets, which therefore makes you more profitable, but actually the cash doesn't come back. There is no business without cash flow, because you're either perennially borrowing money, perennially raising money, or you find yourself in a scenario where you can't invest in the areas that you want to because cash flow is restricted. So back to the moral of the story, because there's so many times where you think the solution to everything is to sell more. And there's never a scenario really where selling more is a bad thing. Even if it's overselling on what your capacity is, it's still a nicer problem to have than no sales. But do yourself a favour. Any entrepreneur, any manager, even salesperson, make sure you're making profit on the things that you sell. And if you work in a business where there is a reward scheme bonus schemes, sales incentives. Of course you need your salespeople to be motivated, and the quickest way to do that is to incentivise sales, is to bonus them, is to commission them on what they bring in. But do yourself a favour and have a backstop on what the profit position has to be. And don't demoralise them by saying the business has to make X profit, because there's so many variables that the salesperson can't control. If they've sold it here at an 80% margin or a 50% margin, whatever your company operates at, and then the overheads are huge, and you're not managing your cost base well enough, it's unfair to penalise the salesperson at the front end, because the sales team are your goal scorers. You need them to be motivated. But just put KPIs in place. You're going to get whatever percentage of what you sell, or once you hit your monthly targets, you're going to get X amount. But just make them aware that it needs to be above a certain margin, or it reduces what they take home. It's simple. Everybody wants to reward great salespeople. We want them to be as mindful about profit as you are.
What I realized, and it wasn't until much later, it's a lot more challenging than one would think. And I was always in sales and sales management, so I was always one, you take care of the top line, everything else will take care of itself.
Right.
Well, what I learned, or what I've heard, and I've learned this since, is that revenue is vanity, profit is sanity, cash is king.
So don't fall into the trap of believing that any sale is a great sale. It's not. Sales are riddled with lots of little landmines, and along the way they'll blow up and surprise you. So until you're ready to scale up, make sure that what you are selling is the most profitable thing that you can sell. Never undervalue margin. Do not put the turnover of your company over the profit margins that it's achieving. If you've got a company with great customer satisfaction or repeat business and great margins, you've got a great company. Be foolhardy, don't fall into the trap of chasing that turnover. What you want is great sales, margin bearing sales. And if you've ever watched any vaguely entrepreneurial TV show, Dragon's Den, Shark Tank, The Apprentice, the questions are driven towards the margin. And although initially in these programs people are led in by, big sales figure, huge sales figure, it's the sexy thing that draws them in. If you look at the companies that then actually get the investment, they might look great in the first 10 minutes, but actually by the time it comes to will a dragon, will a shark, whatever program you watch, actually put their hard-earned cash in, if they can't see a road to profit, they don't invest.
I can't get involved with you because there's not enough margin so that I can make some profit. I'm out.
And that's why you should never be fooled by chasing turnover. It's a fool's game. Absolutely, from day one, put your focus on ensuring that the margin's where you need it to be. Never scrimp, never deliver a product that's not good enough quality in pursuit of margin. Reconsider the whole thing at that point if that's the situation you're faced with, but never value turnover over profit. It's a myth. People want to grow turnover, and it's so counterintuitive to me. I'm obsessed with the idea of the margin, the gross profit, the net profits. You obviously have to have an ever increasing turnover if you want to increase your profits in the long term, because everyone can make a quick cost saving and take some profit back. That's not what it's about. It's about organic, well thought through growth that continually delivers great margin. And don't take the piss when it comes to that. If you can make good margin, take good margin. Don't make it great margin, because if you start to do that, you'll cut corners, there'll be shortcuts, and actually whatever it is you do, the end product will suffer for that. So don't make that mistake. But let's not confuse this video with that. That's for another time. But hopefully we've dispelled the myth of there's no such thing as a bad sale. It's bollocks. If there's anything you can take from today, it's that. So as always, take care. Thanks for watching, and we'll keep hitting you up with other videos. Please like, please subscribe, stay safe. Cheers guys. See you in another one. Bye.